Hi guys, this is Todderud, and I'm going to teach you how to do a very basic little home improvement project. I'm going to be installing these little half-inch drywall anchors from Menards. They hold up to 143 pounds. And that's because I'm going to be installing this heavy shelf on this wall, and I don't have any studs that line up with where I want to be screwing this in. Now I've already measured and marked off the areas where I'm going to drill the holes. Now the way that you want to measure where you're going to put this is I measured from the ceiling down, and that's because I've done it before where I use a level and maybe the ceiling is just slightly off and it doesn't quite look right. So I measured from the ceiling down so that it's even with this ceiling. All right, so this calls for a 5/16 inch drill. Now I have a 1/4 inch, and then I also have a 5/16. Of course, 5/16 is going to be slightly larger than a quarter, but oftentimes I like to start off with just a smaller one when it comes to these little anchors, just because the smaller the better. And then I can, if it's way too small, I can then use the 5/8 or the 5/16 inch bit. So I have my little point marked where I'm going to drill my first hole. Okay, so I want to make sure, I always measure a couple times. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that I know the width in between there. So I've drilled one hole. I want to make sure that I have the exact width so that when I go to put the other hole in, it lines up perfectly with this other side of the bracket of this shelf. So now, what I want to do is I already have my other hole. Flip this over. Take this. And now I know the distance. Okay. I want to make sure that I have the height right on this one. Now I said 24.5 inches from 24.5 to the center, and then 24.5 to the center. That'll be the center. And then see, this mark was the 34 7/8. So I have my two holes mapped out, and now I'm going to drill that other hole. All right, now I'm going to drill this hole. Now I'm just going to clean up this hole. Okay. And that's why I'd use the smaller one first, is because then I kind of go in with the bigger one and I clean it up. Now the mechanism that this uses to hold up weight is it goes into the drywall and then it kind of clamps like this. So then on either side of the drywall, it's got some pressure that'll hold some weight. In order to use this, I pinch this side and squeeze it in so it looks like that. Okay. Now then, with these two kind of wings up and down on top and bottom, I just kind of work it into that hole. Should be a snug fit. All right, now sometimes, see how it's not quite flush here? Sometimes you gotta kind of just lightly tap it in. Don't go too hard because you don't want to bust the wall. Measure top to bottom on center. Let's see here. Looks like it's about 3 3¾ on center. Alright, and I'm just gonna make sure that I've got that hole exactly where I want it. Now on this side, 3 3/4, top to bottom. Looks like I was a little bit off with that first hole. Always, never hurts to measure a few different times. Well, maybe I was a little bit closer with that first one actually. And then make sure I've got about 14 1/8. 14 1/8. Okay, now then I drill those bottom holes. Make sure that I got the center lined up with the center of the drill. Now I'm gonna get that last hole drilled. Now I'm going to put these last bottom anchors in, same as before. Pinch them, top and bottom. Oh, that one didn't want to go. I'm gonna just work them in. Okay. All right, now we have all of our anchors in. Last step is to screw in the screws into the anchors with the shelf on it. All right, now we have an even, sturdy shelf, and you guys can do it at home too. Thanks for joining me today, guys. If you like my content, give me a like, hit the subscribe button, and leave your comments below.